very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to today's morning. We are about to begin very shortly. I will request all the delegates and participants to please settle down. Thank you.
One of the greatest challenges that the human race and the entire planet faces right now is climate change.
Fluctuations in temperatures, unseasonable rains, very evident. Climate change is very evident. I see it very clearly.
In India, we have like four major biodiversity hotspots, meaning these are the places where you have a maximum biodiversity available, but at the same time, the 70% of the diversity is getting extinct because of human intervention.
While most of us are aware of bird and animal species that have become extinct or are facing extinction, not many of us know the plant and tree species that are facing similar challenges.
These species of plants that we're losing are mainly from the rainforest. Two species especially, one jamun from Kerala and one more Maduka in Cygnus, which is only 25 individual trees are found in the wild now.
This is the story of how a group of people in India embarked on a landmark rainforest conservation project, and the former pharmacist from New York who inspired them. This rainforest rescue story begins in an unlikely place. Kamlesh Patel, more widely known as Daaji, was born in India but made a career in the pharmacy business in the United States. In 2014, he began to train millions of people across the world in heartfulness meditation as the Heartfulness Guide. He has now retired from the pharmacy business and lives in India. While Daaji spends the majority of his time conducting meditation sessions and providing guidance on meditation, one of his other passions is the plantation and conservation of trees. He is particularly interested in conserving the extremely vulnerable rainforest species.
So in India, we have rainforests in the Western Ghats, in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and in the Northeast.
The place Daaji proposed to create a rainforest conservation project, however, was far from these locations. And it was, in fact, far from suitable. This was the 300-acre Kanha Shanti Vanam Heartfulness campus near Hyderabad in Telangana. He spoke to Dr. V. Ramakantha, a former Principal Chief Conservator of Forests in the Indian Forest Service.
Daaji called me, said, I want a rainforest here. And my straightforward answer is immediately I said, sir, rainforest species don't survive in Hyderabad. They die.
It was a barren place, hardly any trees.
After 5-6 days, he says, I want Amazon forest here. I scratched my head and said, sir, Amazon forest cannot come here. I'll get you some trees from moist deciduous forest. Some pathogen, leaf shedding happens maybe for less than a month or so, but they are as good. He doesn't respond.
I was thinking cactus would be a good idea to grow here, because you have these images of deserts with big tall cactus. That was the only thing I thought, okay, it can fit here.
Then After 4-5 days again he says, I want a rainforest here. As if we never had a conversation. So what to do? We got a truckload of plants from Kerala, from Karnataka, from one Dr. Jadhav, great person. He has many endangered plants. He gave a truckload of plants. We grew them, and I never believed that one will survive. And one of my colleagues who's really good in botany said, "Kya kar rahe ho sir? Pura mar jayega. They all will die."
Really, it not possible to grow such a massive greenery here. It's a very, very tough, very, very tough. It's a toughest soil. You can say the toughest soil, porous soil. Whatever you put, it will get drained out. So how to avoid that wastage?
Right at the outset, the porous soil at Kanha Shanti Vanam presented a huge problem. The team was worried. But Daaji came up with a suggestion that was simple and effective.
So he gave this idea that we will put some black cotton soil so that it holds the moisture. It was his idea.
Another crucial intervention was the use of biochar. This was made on site in the traditional way by carbonizing biomass and included in the plantation process.
Activated charcoal. For all eternity it does the service, holds the moisture as well as steady supply of nutrient. It facilitates.
Plant whatever they will eat, that much only they will eat. After that they will leave it in the soil. Even good things also. So we never give the overdosage. We make it, for example, we will give 100 gram nutrient, that will make it in the 15 gram only. So make it always demand and feed regularly. So of course the manpower need more, but we made it regularly every 15 days once. There is no, we can say, zero waste of the nutrients.
Daaji believes in science, so a lot of science has gone into growing of this species. We have vermicompost, we have drip, sometimes we have fogger, sometimes we have rain gun. A lot of science has gone into it.
While adopting scientific methods, the team also intuitively developed some novel ideas.
Intuition also happened as to how to create a conducive environment. So we grew something called Sesbania grandiflora, Agastya plant, Agati. It's like that Asterix comics, you drop a seed and out comes a tree, that fast. So we grew Agati plant in a dense formation. It fixes nitrogen, grows very fast and creates the required shade for the our rainforest species. So that was it simply evolved.
The entire plantation process was greatly helped by Heartfulness volunteers from all over the world. One critical bit of help, however, came from another source.
Ever since we came here, there is nothing but cooperation and cooperation from Mother Nature. The rains that used to fall 600 mm, 550 mm in Manapakkam district, now we are blessed sometimes with 2300 mm, which is more than 3 times.
And I'm happy to tell you, a large number of rainforest species we are growing at Kanha Shanti Vanam, and not one individual plants may have died, but not one species has died here. This is a Canarium strictum, a tree from the rainforests of the Western Ghats. Unsustainable harvest, illicit harvest is killing the trees. Almost on the brink of extinction, you hardly find healthy trees in its natural habitat. Doing very well at Kanha, Shanti. This is one of the great plants from the Western Ghats of India, endemic to the Western Ghats. In English they call it wild jackfruit. And then again, illicit harvest of the tree for the timber is being pushing it towards extinction. And red listed species doing splendidly well in Kanha, Shanti, Vanam. Savior for Kanha, Shanti, Vanam rainforest project. This is Whitex trifolia from the Western Ghats of India. A very hardy plant. We grow in between the precious tree of ours, and it keeps the whole environment cool.
The endangered and endemic rainforest species are not only surviving but are flourishing at Kanha Shanti Vanam. Some of them are even fruiting.
Quite a few of my colleagues who are botanists, and they are really amazed that we have these species here as well. I mean, they're like, are you serious? They're fruiting. Syzygium travancoricum, that's the Kerala jamun. It's fruiting here, it's grown tall, and only 25 of them in the forest are enumerated. So, I mean, it's just a crazy number, you know, like 25 and then no more in the wild, you know, you're going to lose them. And now what we are doing with the seeds is that we are propagating them and also giving it to 18 different centers across India so that people across the country can plant them and raise them and conserve them. So the efforts are spreading everywhere.
However, since seed propagation is slow and yields a small number of plants, the Heartfulness Tree Conservation Project has gone even further.
We built a plant tissue culture laboratory, which is called Heartfulness Tree Conservation Center. Tissue culture is a technique where any part of the tissue of a plant can be utilized to produce more number of plants. So if we use either a leaf or a small stem portion of it, and in about 6 to 8 months of time, we'll be able to produce at least about a lakh to lakh and a half plantlets from the same one shoot twig. There are 56 species of listed in the various 56 list. They're in tens of numbers currently available in its natural habitat. So we are aiming to produce about 1 to 1.5 lakhs of these plants by the end of 2023, which will help us to again work with NGOs and then governments to take these endangered tree species and put them in their home land also.
But it took me quite some time to realize why Daaji wanted a rainforest here. Rainforest means species rich, the most species rich terrestrial ecosystem. Whole lot of them are dying out. And when you create a rainforest, this becomes a Noah's Ark.
the Heartfulness Tree Conservation Project is a sincere effort to preserve the biodiversity of our planet. It hopes to keep on expanding its scope to include more and more tree species in the future. The team is happy to learn from others and also to share their learnings freely with anyone who wants to replicate such a project elsewhere. But one may well wonder, what really is the importance of saving these rare tree species? Will their absence really have an impact on our lives?
Paul Ehrlich's rivet theory. He says that
Namaste, good morning, and a very warm and heartful welcome to all the eminent dignitaries, distinguished guests, delegates, and guests present here this wonderful morning. On behalf of Heartfulness Institute, it is my proud privilege to welcome all of you to IHW 2022, an integrative approach to health and well-being. It is a privilege to welcome amongst us Vaidya Shri Rajesh Kotecha ji, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Dr. M.R. Jayaram, Chairman, Gokula Education Foundation and Chancellor of M.S. Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, Dr. Randeep Guleria, an eminent pulmonologist and ex-director, AIMS. It is also a privilege to welcome amongst us Pujya Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati Ji of Parmarth Niketan, Mr. Eddie Stern from New York, Mr. Akshay Anand from PGI MER Chandigarh, Dr. Arpan Bhatt from Jamnagar, and Dr. G.G. Gangadharan, Vice Chancellor, Ramaiah University. I take this opportunity to extend a heartfelt welcome with honor to all the delegates of the conference to this inaugural session of IHW 2022. IHW 2022 is a one-of-a-kind conference. In this conference, over a period of 3 days, we would explore various aspects of integrative health, medicine, and wellness. We are privileged to be a part of this historic coming together of medicine practitioners, doctors, students, research scientists, and delegates who are interested in spirituality, complete wellness, and well-being. We have gathered here from different parts of the globe in this beautiful, serene environment of Kanha Shanti Vanam. It is a wonderful morning, a beautiful day. And with this melting pot of minds and unique perspectives, how fortunate we are to be a witness to an emerging understanding of how transcending states of consciousness can improve human performance and sense of well-being in our lives. Arogyam Paramam Bhagyam Swasthyam Sarvarth Sadhanam. According to our Shastras, good health is the greatest blessing, and health is the means to everything. So let us together walk this path from health to wellness. I now invite Dr. Jayaram Thimapuram, Chairperson of IHW 2022, to come and introduce us all to this unique conference. We are also fortunate to be present here this morning. We are waiting for our global guide of heartfulness, revered Daaji. He will be with us shortly. Dr. Jayaram, please.
Good morning to all of you, and dear and respected Daaji, honorable dignitaries, colleagues and friends. It is a wonderful day to gather in this serene environment today for our first international conference on integrative health and well-being. My name is Dr. Jayaram Timmapuram. I'm an internal medicine physician and a fellow of Academy of Integrative Health and Medicine. Through this conference, we aim to find a way to integrate conventional and traditional medical practices. I'm trained in modern medicine, and I feel it is an excellent way to provide treatment, and it has a definite role to play. For instance, in the clinical scenario of an acute myocardial infarction, for instance, we need to have an intervention that opens the blockage of the coronaries, and modern medicine does that par excellence. However, it is more of a disease-based approach than a health-based one. But there is a saying, the best treatment is to teach one how to remain healthy and not require medication. We need a system of care that focuses on prevention, wellness, and sustainable whole-person care. Our traditional mind, body, and integrative practices can play a significant role in that. We were inspired by this idea of creating a platform where such a fusion or integration of these practices can happen. Where else can be a better place for such a fusion to occur than this pleasant environment of Kanha that oozes peace, sublimity, and tranquility from every nook and corner? What else can be a better integrating factor than one's own heart? Heartfulness, or the way of the heart, is a perfect platform for this. When we shared this idea with Daaji, he readily agreed to it and encouraged us in all possible ways. Through this conference, we will explore contemplative practices, lifestyle, and holistic development. I'm delighted to share that we have world-renowned experts who will share their research, their learnings, and their wisdom with us. We can explore these practices through the lens of science for the greater good of humanity. Heartfulness Institute is actively involved in research and strives to maintain the highest standards for evaluating these well-being practices. Heartfulness also offers CME activities and many wellness programs. Another element of focus for Heartfulness Research Institute is supporting our youth. We are committed to nurturing our youngsters in conducting research with the highest ethical standards. We have great sessions lined up throughout these 3 days, including an award ceremony for the youth who have significantly contributed to furthering the vision of well-being. We hope this conference inspires you, teaches you some innovative ways for transformation, and allows you to integrate the best practices to become the best version of yourself. On behalf of the IHW committee, a very warm welcome to all of you, and I hope you have an enriching experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. J. With revered Daaji present amongst us, as chief host of IHW 2022, I take this privilege to invite onto the dais Vaidya Shri Rajesh Kotecha-ji, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Dr. M.R. Jayaram, Chairman, Gokula Education Foundation, and Chancellor, M.S. Ramaiah, University of Applied Sciences, Dr. Randeep Guleria-ji, eminent pulmonologist and ex-director, AIIMS, New Delhi. I now request Revered Daaji to kindly felicitate our eminent dignitaries. Thank you. Na chora haryam, na cha raja haryam, na bhrat bhajyam, na cha bhara bhakari, vyaye krite vardhat evam nityam, vidya dhanam sarvadhan pradhanam. What cannot be stolen by thieves, nor can be taken away by kings? It cannot be divided among brothers, nor does it have a weight. If spent regularly, it always keeps growing. The wealth of knowledge is the most superior wealth of all. IHW 2022, an integrative approach to health and well-being, is an endeavor to inspire and awaken all individuals to think, understand, reflect, and adopt a shared vision towards a better version of ourselves. And it is this shared vision that will lead to a nation of wellness for each. I now invite respected Chairman, Gokula Education Foundation and Chancellor, M.S. Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, Dr. M.R. Jayaram, to deliver the inaugural address.
శ్రీ గణనాథుని శారదా సత్కవలన్ సహజ యోగి మునులన్ సురులన్ దేవ బ్రాహ్మణ ధన్యుని సకలంతర్యామి హరిని చాలా భజంతున్. Surrendering myself to the Sadguru Yogi Narayana Yatindra of Kaivara, my heartful pranams to Daaji ji, Rajesh ji, Mr. Andi Puleria ji, distinguished dignitaries, and my dear friends. I congratulate the Heartfulness Institute for conducting an international conference of integrative health and well-being, which is the need of the hour, and the need to integrate modern and traditional sciences is only portrayed after the recent pandemic, and more scientists are interested in researching this, which is a welcome change. Heartfulness Institute, also known as Sri Ramachandra Mission, also known as Daaji, is doing momentous work in raising the awareness and consciousness of the humanity through its work in the area of spirituality, health, well-being, education, environment, and other sectors. In today's time, when scientists and countries are in great stress, fear and insecurity, this is the need of the hour. The conference itself is organized in such a serene place called the Kanha Shanti Vanam, which offers right environment for the deliberations of such as these. I learned that it is an barren land many years ago, and now it is transformed into a oasis of green and peace. I truly feel happy that we are meeting here. Coming to the theme of the conference, integrated health and well-being signifies the integration of the modern with traditional. And there are many eminent scientists and researchers here who will dwell about the technical aspects of the subject. I am inspired to, however, take a philosophical point of view in my speech today. Hope you will bear with me. Over the last 100 years, due to advance in medicine and other sectors, we are living longer, but we are happier. But are we happier today? Research studies indicate that the quality of life is not improving. We are more stressed, insecurity and fear. Where is this fear and security coming from? And which is not only affecting the well-being of people, but also the life form and our planet too. It is critical to analyze what is happening to the current state of mind of humanity as we today. Even more fundamentally, how do we see man today, or rather, how does man perceive himself today? Is he a machine or a maker of machine? Engineer, so to say. Is he a machine? Then he will go on acting mechanically, destroying himself and his society and the planet. And we are witnessed everywhere. He is not responsible for his actions. But if he is an engineer, I am thinking that conscious being, then he becomes responsible for his actions. He becomes a master of the destiny and can create destiny that he wants to make. The difference between the human and the divine, the difference between the two ends of the same line. One represents the other unlimited, and one that represents the imperfection. The other is perfection. Modern man himself he's been confronted with ever increasing urgency for the need of some transformation of his very being. At the dawn of this new age, the foundation built over the past centuries upon which this existence depended seems to have shaken. Man is afraid that all his actions today reflect his fear about something. What could it be? Deep within himself, he knows he is not aligned with nature, and hence the fear. Let us take a few recent examples to understand this. The COVID-19, the pandemic, is not a sudden but was expected. 100 years ago, the Spanish flu had similar impact and killed millions of our lives in this world. And to tell you by statistics, in Bangalore, where I come from, 150,000 people died in that Spanish flu in Bangalore alone. What did we learn from that? That could have awakened us and prevented the future outbreaks. The World War I and II led the brothers of the same family of Europe, the white race, so to say, the entire world took this side to side them. We forgot too soon, and today we have the same situation again in what is happening in Russia. Thanks on Russia attacks on Ukraine, and the world is being now polarized. Scientists are warning about consequences of deforestation and global warming. Nature is too giving a warning signals through floods, ultimately climate change and drought and etc. People as well as leaders are not listening to our clues from nature. The ego, greed, and desire of making man more self-centered today, and this explains the unrest of insecurity and fear that we are all a section of the same society. The most evolved of the being is becoming conscious that his planet, the earth, can no longer be disassociated from the rest of the world. For she is an integral part of our solar system among the many. And because there exists the physical connection between himself and the galaxy. This expansion of awareness, of consciousness, of the mind is important today. The expansion allows the man to emphasize his own inner needs and the society and the world. To me, the expansion of mind is the central of integral health and well-being of individual and the society. In the change in the mindset, the consciousness that fuels man towards unhealthy actions and behavior, and we must start with the mind to change it. Recognizing the importance of address of minds first, our yogis have always given preference to strengthening the mind, the body together, and not just the body. Our ancient knowledge system from not only India, but all over the world integrates the well-being of the body, mind, and the soul. In today's time, the Heartfulness Institute is doing this, and I learned the institution is present across 160 countries and renders the selfless service of teaching meditation and spirituality without charging any fees. Though they are all volunteers. In addition, the social development activities such as the Heartfulness by Forest, corporates, the university programs, promotion of research and meditation and consciousness, and these conferences that promote the integration and unity. And the need of the hour is, I once again congratulate the organizers. As I see the meaning of, as I look at what is the meaning of the heartfulness. When heart is full of love, then it becomes peace. When peace is there, it is in the same line with nature. If it is the same line with nature, then it is with planet. If it is same line with planet, then it is same line of the solar system. And ultimately, it is the same energy of positive energy which is full of within you makes you integrated. This is what I really feel truly and the true meaning of understanding of integration is bringing man and the galaxy together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jairam. Any great endeavor to bring improvement in the lives of individuals all over the world can only come to fruition when all sectors move hand in hand, supporting one another. In India, it is our good fortune that all such ideas and endeavors receive the wholehearted support of the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. The Ayush Ministry has a vision for the nation, a nation of citizens with complete well-being, health at all levels. I now invite Vaidya Shri Rajesh Kotecha ji, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, to address all of us.
My pranams to Reverend Daaji, respected Dr. Guleria ji, Dr. Jairam ji, the dignitaries of the dais, and friends who arrived here from not only from India, from all over the globe. My pranam to Puji Mataji, Bhagwati, and also my dear friend Dr. Arpan Bhatt from Jamnagar and Dr. G.G. Gangadharanji from Bengaluru. I came here is a gain for me. That is why whenever Reverend Daaji invites me, I actually look forward that he invites me so that I have an opportunity to come here. Thank you for inviting me. This is a very nice opportunity for all of us to discuss, to explore, and to share our views and experiences with each other so that we go one step forward in the direction of integrative health, and that is a great kind of value addition to our existing knowledge. I also compliment the organization of this important conference here in the right place, Kanha Shanti Vanam, with the right environment, very subtle spiritual environment, where all of us are prompted to become sattvic all of a sudden, and all our positive energies come together. I want to cite very interesting study which was happened into AIMS when Honorable Dr. Gulriaji was heading. It was published in a very good journal. Is about the assessment of individuals, volunteers, based on their guna, sattva, rajas and tamas, whether they are sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. And the scientists who did this, they have actually devised the objective criteria based on functional MRI, and they did a wonderful comparison of these volunteers between these two groups. One is the people who is opting for yoga and meditation regularly, and the another group was opting for exercise, going to gym and doing good exercise. And outcome parameters were measured based on lot of different primary and secondary outcomes. It was interesting that based on physical parameters, outcomes were almost the same of yoga meditation and exercise. But outcomes based on these batteries of sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, it was very interesting that people who were doing the yoga and meditation, they had a lot of sattva guna went up. So they became more sattvic, inference was, or they were able to maintain positive aptitude in their life and positive perspective as an individual. They became a good human being. And people who were volunteers who were doing this exercise, actually they had more rajas and tamas, increased into this study. And it was very interesting, based on understanding of science, such kind of study never happened, and I was highly impressed. So there are lot of such good outcomes based on science. When we come together and when we talk to each other, we need to explore what is integrative health, what can be done, what is the best for the community, for the people. So, and this knowledge of traditional medicine, ancient Ayurveda, yoga and other sciences comes in, where these sciences talk about whole system, body and mind and Atma, and their connections with each other. And majority of talks are of health and not just disease management. So this integrative health has a scope of looking at total health, where the conventional medicine has a very high outcome of the disease management, and they are very successful in lot of different things. If we think about bringing in this together, where we talk about health, about the promotion of health, about the quality health at late age, like we are having more and more increasing lifespan. Even in India now we are 70, and in world it is 89 years in some countries. So it is normal that when we age, we have some diseases. It's normal, In Ayurveda also it is said that Vriddhavastha, Jaravastha is also a disease. So it is normal that we have diseases, because we are dynamic entity, we are not machines. So when we age, if we are able to stay healthy, if we are able to stay qualitatively healthy, we don't have to go to doctor or less, or we don't have to take lot of pills, and we stay healthy. That is a wonderful goal that can be envisaged, and that is possible. So when we talk about integrative health, there is a lot of confusion about the definition. In popular perspective, integrative health, people what even lot of experts understand in integrative health is that the allopathic medicine should be allowed to be prescribed by Ayurvedic doctors, or vice versa. It is not integrative health. Integrative health is bringing best of best together and use it respecting each other for the mankind. And there are lot of such possibilities. I cite couple of examples. I will not speak a lot, but I would like to bring this, a very interesting fact, that whenever the traditional medicine people tries to communicate with the conventional medicine or vice versa, there is a problem of ego, from both the side. So these types of platform, with the blessings of the Reverend Daaji, this is a melting platform where we are able to talk to each other. In every platform, wherever such conferences are happened, even I'm sure that this will be discussed here also, that the talk is about where are evidences, we should generate evidences, These traditional sciences are good, being practiced for 5,000 years, nobody doubts about that, it is effective. But we need to generate evidence because the mainstream science doesn't understand what you do, your principles are different, so you need to generate evidence. The problem statement is that these so-called experts, they do not want to see what is happening. They just keep blind eyes and they say, you need to generate evidence. This is a paradox, this is a contradiction. That I would like to mention this, that we have an Ayush research portal. We have created this repository of publications which is only peer-reviewed journals or index journals publications. And in this research portal, which is searchable index, having 37,000 plus publications. So it is not true that there is nothing happening. It is not true that there are not evidences. We need to talk. We need to talk to each other and then visualize what could be done. For example, we have proposed, and it is accepted for the mainstreaming of in national health programs, is morbidity management of filaria, lymphadenitis because of the filariasis. We know that filariasis can be prevented or can be helped through modern medicine. But once a person gets this lymphadenitis, इसको हम हाथी पांव बोलते हैं, then nothing can be done. Only conservative management is possible. Patient gets repeated infection because of this big swelling, and they have to be managed, conservatively. So there is a very good outcome of one institute in Kasaragod being run by a dermatologist, and this is an intervention of Ayurveda and Yoga for this morbidity management of filariasis. It is wonderful. Now it is accepted for the mainstream. Or Kshara Sutra therapy for the fistulae nano or for the hemorrhoids. This is also one of the contributions from ancient sciences being accepted widely by the community of the surgeons. So those types of examples, not only for disease management, but when we look at the health, this heartfulness meditation or different types of yoga, pranayama, or dietetics, or One Health, we need to, like Jairamji mentioned, we need to look at the possibility of conserving our nature, animals, and our surroundings, because we are deeply connected with each other. The other day I was reading in a worrisome news that all over the world, the men are getting less and less fertile because they are consuming this food, particularly dairy products, having a lot of antibiotics and oxytocin hormones, and they are getting less and less fertile. Or the women gets lot of polycystic ovary syndrome and hypothyroid, etc., because of this exposure. This is a pandemic. We need to look at that. All lifestyle disorders, most of these lifestyle disorders are outcome of the lack of connection with the mother nature. So in India, we understand that we should not exploit the natural resources, but we should respect and respectfully, conservatively use these resources, because it belongs to all, not only mankind. So that thought process should be cultivated, should be spread around. And respecting the nature, respecting the surrounding also makes a lot of sense for the total health. There are a lot of studies where exposure to mother nature makes people stress-free, healthy. Just working in the garden give them a lot of happiness. Those types of simple observations, they doesn't look, very fancy, but they are very authentic. So those types of solutions also we need to explore. And finally, at Government of India, lot of things are happening, just wanted to share some interesting information that in April this year, our Honorable Prime Minister and WHO DG both they arrived in Jamnagar and they did foundation stone laying ceremony of WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in India. And this is a great news because this is one and only global center of WHO. So it's a UN outpost in our country. Why it is significant is that this is the first UN outpost happening in any developing country. All of UN offices until now was always established in developed countries. This is the first outpost of UN. And this WHO Center of Traditional Medicine is here, so it opens up a door for the traditional medicine to work for the science to generate evidences, to work with the mainstream science and contribute. Another thing is that the Jamnagar Center, where WHO Global Center is being established, was upgraded in 2020 as an institute of national importance. And this is also something very important because in traditional medicine sector, none of the institute in India had this status. This is a status like AIIMS and IIM and IITs. It was given to the Jamnagar Center. This is also one of the important happening. There are so many other things, but I would like to mention last week, Honorable Prime Minister came to World Ayurveda Conference in valedictory function. He spoke a lot of different things. One important message, what he conveyed, is that we are in a process of creating a National Ayush Research Consortium. And this consortium is, how it is visualized is, because the problem with the traditional medicine is that we all understand the therapeutic intervention or medicine based on theory of cause and effect. So we know that if we do this, this will happen. But how this happens? It needs mechanistic studies. Mechanistic studies are the domain of basic science people, either chemistry or biology or physics. And a lot of basic science, world-class institutions are in India. So this consortium is envisaged because of generating mechanistic understanding of these therapeutics on a very large scale. And that is happening. So all these IISC, CSR labs, DBT labs, DST labs, they are coming together. And we are happy that we wanted to convey this message to these labs that this is owned by you. This should be done by you. We cannot do it. We are practitioners. And there's a large kind of convergence is happening. Yesterday only I had a detailed meeting with DG ICMR. The new DG just came in, Dr. Rajiv Bahal. He worked in WHO for 17 years. And we have decided yesterday only that we will create Ayush ICMR centers for research in all AIIMS. So it will happen in next few months. So those kind of things are happening, very vibrant. Lot of other things, but I just wanted to be crisp. So, but I think these news are very, very much interesting. So that is what I wanted to share. And I again thank Reverend Daaji and the organizers for inviting me. It's a great learning opportunity for me, and my pranams to all.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing such wonderful information about the new initiatives of the Government of India with all of us. According to the great scientist, artist, and philosopher Leonardo da Vinci, when man moves from a merely theoretical to an existentially practical pursuit to uncover the mysteries of how human beings exist, he discovers that art and science are but two sides of the same coin. In an integrative approach to health, the practice of medicine, too, is both an art and science. I now invite Dr. Randeep Guleria, eminent pulmonologist and former director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, to share his insights on this theme.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Reverend Daaji. Thank you for inviting us and for being here. Dr. Kuteja, Shri Jairamji, dignitaries of the dais, delegates that have come for this conference, volunteers for this meeting, ladies and gentlemen. At the onset, I'd like to take this opportunity to really thank Heartfulness Institute for inviting me to this conference, IHW 2022. It's really an honor, and I'm really feel privileged to be here. I was asked to talk on the practice of medicine and art and in science. And what I'm going to do in the next 15 minutes or so is try and really make one understand what do we mean by all of this. So as we move forward, first thing that really comes to our mind is what do we understand by the term health? WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. If you go back to the book written by Hippocrates more than 2,000 years ago, he said that health was the complete removal of distress of the sick. And even Ayurveda suggests that health is basically a body, mind, and soul approach as far as a healthy mind is concerned. Therefore, just the absence of disease or infirmity does not mean that you are healthy. To be healthy means that you are in peace with yourself, you're happy, and you are actually one with nature. I think that is one of the most important things that we need to keep in mind. But things have changed rapidly. The last 60 years has seen more changes in medicine than we've seen in the last 2 centuries. We're living through a revolution, and major advances have occurred in science in the area of pharmacology. Technology has shown huge changes, and we're seeing changes in genomics, phenotyping, functional imaging, and these are changing medicine as we know it, or as we trained as far as medicine was concerned. We are living through what people call the 4th industrial revolution. And this has led many people to question how medicine will be in the future and how the practice of medicine will change as we progress over the next 2-3 decades. So the 4th industrial revolution, we had the first industrial revolution, which was steam engines coming in, the second industrial revolution where we had assembly lines, electricity, the third industrial revolution which we went through with computers, internet, nuclear energy, and now what we are seeing is fusion of technologies where the line between physical, digital, and the biological sphere is actually getting more and more merged. This is happening dramatically in the health sector, and I personally feel that health in the next 10-15 years will change dramatically. We saw a huge change that happened during COVID-19. Telemedicine became a norm. Teleconsultation was something which was accepted by everyone. And digitization is revolutionizing the way healthcare will be provided. These are disruptive technologies. How will they really help as far as patients are concerned? And I think that is very, very important to keep in mind. So what we're going to see in the 4th industrial revolution is new methods of treatment and diagnosis. We're already seeing that. When I was a resident, we had just a chest X-ray. We could just do an X-ray and make a diagnosis. We never had things like a CT scan, ultrasound, MRI, PET scan. We're looking at functional scans now. We have now better ways of monitoring patients' health status. Many of us have devices, Fitbits, wearable devices. You can see your ECG, you can see your heart rate, you can see your saturation. New innovations are happening in medicine, whereas we'll be able to provide better management as far as organization of healthcare is concerned. And the access to healthcare has increased because of technology that is now available. So we are seeing things like artificial intelligence. We already have artificial intelligence even in our country. There is a huge program by the Ministry of Health where artificial intelligence is coming in in various platforms, so that even a doctor sitting in rural India can take a picture of a chest X-ray or an X-ray of a bone, send it to our AI platform, and it will tell you whether this is normal, abnormal, whether there's a fracture or not. A skin lesion photograph can be taken and sent to an AI platform, which will tell you what is the skin lesion, what are the differential diagnoses, what could be the treatment strategies. It's being used in pathology to help pathologists look at a slide and pick up abnormalities which pathologists may miss. We have the Internet of Things, which is basically looking at wearable devices and non-wearable devices to help monitor. We do that for air pollution. We're doing projects where we're asking children, asthmatic children, to wear devices and be able to see how air pollution is affecting their asthma as they go to school and they come home. And then we have augmented reality, where patient may actually be in the hospital, but because of the augmented reality actually feel that he's at home, and that may help in better healing. Genome editing is changing how we're looking at many diseases. Robotics, 3D printing, and big data analysis is also there. So medicine is changing rapidly, and this is something which has led people to really ask, is there still an art in this medicine, or is it getting overtaken by the science of medicine? My own opinion is that the role of doctor hasn't changed over time, whether it be an Ayurvedic doctor, whether it be an allopathic doctor. And even if we accept all the advances in science and the fourth industrial revolution, a doctor will always have that main role to play. Because no matter how much technology you have, when one is ill, when one is sick, you still want a doctor you can trust, who can understand with you, who can empathize with you. And I think that is the crux of what medicine is all about, what knowledge is all about. So despite all advances in science, it is important to understand what the patient doesn't tell you. When you listen to a patient, you have to really be able to understand that there are some things which the patient is trying to convey, but he is scared to tell you. Understand the patient's expression. These are insights that technology will never be able to offer. And I'll give you this quick example of a girl that I saw many, many years ago. She was from Ajmer. She had a classical history of asthma since 2007 and was on bronchodilators, inhalers, but she was not getting all right. And she was referred to try newer treatments. We have now newer treatments for asthma known as biologicals. These are monoclonal antibodies, anti-IgE therapy, anti-IG4 and IG13 therapy, and anti-IG5 therapy. So she was referred here. She had eosinophils, which are high, 14%, and in the OPD, the resident worked her up. And she came to me for a second opinion, and this person has come, should we consider starting her a new treatment? These are expensive treatments, and therefore we need to be really sure that these patients need to be started on. This young girl sat quietly during the entire presentation, seemed agitated, unhappy, while the resident gave the history and her father nodded away. He kept telling me that her eosinophil count has always been in double digits. And I asked her if she was all right and if she had anything to add. And she looked at me and said that her problems had always been ignored. She had had a rash a few years ago, which was diagnosed to be a drug rash. She felt weakness and decreased sensation of her foot, which no one really looked at. And when one examined her, there was a decrease in sensation and wasting of the muscles of her leg. And she had eosinophilia, she had nerve conduction studies which showed that she had mononeuritis multiplex. This was her initial X-ray, her heart had got bigger, and she had a multi-system involvement which is associated with asthma, a disease that we call eosinophilic granulomatous with polyangiitis. All the evidence was there, but it was just basically because no one listened to the patient. And this is what is happening as far as today's medicine is concerned. There is a paradigm shift in medicines. We are moved away from the era of clinical medicine where we talked to our patient, where we understood what they were saying and tried to interpret that, to an era where we are looking at more and more technology-driven medicine, where we're looking at more investigative medicine rather than clinical medicine. And listening to and examining a patient is becoming less and less important. We look at more of the investigations rather than the patient. And this is the art of medicine, which I feel is still very, very important, and we should not lose out on this. We see this items across the world. Doctors spending less than 2 minutes in a patient. Doctor will see you, but not often for too long. The doctor will interrupt you. There was one study which showed that doctors will interrupt a patient in around 40 seconds before the patient can even complete all his complaints. So I think we need to look at where are we going as far as the medicine is concerned, whether it be different branches of medicine. And are we really listening to our patients? Are we listening to them with thoughtful attention? And there's a difference between hearing and listening. Listening is accidental, involuntary, and effortless. Listening is focused, voluntary, and intentional. Listening for total meaning, the content and underlying emotion. Responding to feelings, sometimes the real message is in the emotions rather than what the patient is saying. Noting all the cues. Not all communication is verbal. It's very important to keep in mind. And then reflecting, making the patient understand that you have heard what the patient has said. And therefore, in my mind, active listening is a difficult work. We listen not only with our ears, but with our eyes, our mind, our heart, our imagination. And this is the art of medicine, which is also as important as the new technologies that we see as far as the science of medicine is concerned. William Osler said, listen to your patient, he's telling you the diagnosis. And I think I would just add that observe the subtle behavior of a patient, it may give you the diagnosis. And this is mentioned not only in medicine, but even if you look at textbooks of Ayurveda, a lot of attention is given to how you examine your patient, how you listen to the patient's complaints. So the art of medicine involves understanding each presenting problem and evolution over time, relevant antecedents, medications, allergies, family and occupational and social histories. Art of medicine is shifting, probing, weighing and each response of the patient, judging when to drill down and when to pass over to the next issue. All of this is something that we learn as we grow as physicians. And I think this is what is very important. So medicine may have changed over ages, but for human being, the need and expectations from the doctor remain largely the same. And for all of us who practice medicine, whatever be our way of practicing medicine, the goal of medicine has always been to relieve the suffering of human beings. Even the word patient comes from a Latin word, patentum, which means suffering. So relief of suffering and empathy for your fellow men is what medicine is all about. The science of medicine, which was supposed to be written by Hippocrates more than 2000 years ago, also says the same thing. The quality of the voice, whether it is clear or hoarse, the respiratory rate, whether it is quickened or shallow or slowed, as well as the constitution of various fluids of the body, are all the art of medicine. And therefore, it is effective physical integration, the patient's choice of word, that is very, very important, and that what constitutes the art of medicine. So these are skills which we have to learn, which we learn with experience. These are not something that can be found in books, but it's when you interact with your patients. And that is why I think it's very, very important for all of us to push for patients, for our students to really start talking to patients rather than spending more and more time with books. Interaction with patients is something that will help you to develop these skills, which will make the art of medicine something in you which is very, very important. Empathize for patients. It's an art rather than science. Empathy is something that I think we need to develop. Getting the patient's confidence and trust. Again, it's an art rather than a science. And we all give medications to our patients, but never talk about diet, nutrition, exercise specific for the patient and assume one size fits all. Even Ayurveda emphasizes the balance in life, the right thinking, right diet, right lifestyle, yoga, which is individualized for each patient. And this, I think, is the art of medicine. And if we all learn the art of medicine, along with the science that is there in medicine, patients will be there for you for life, because you have then developed that bond with them where you are able to empathize and understand what the illness is all about. William Osler said that the practice of medicine is an art, not a trade, a calling, not a business, a calling in which your heart will be exercised equally with your head. Often, the best part of your work will have nothing to do with the potions and powders. So I think it's very important to remember, the best part of your treatment of your patient may have nothing to do with the drugs that you give or the injections that you give. It's the warm word and the empathy that you have with your patient that will really help. Many patients say that I got much better just by talking to my doctor rather than the medicines that he gave me. And I think this is something which we need to keep in mind today even more, because like I showed in the beginning, the science of medicine is moving at a very rapid pace, and sometimes the art gets left behind. More than 2000 years after Hippocrates, there still remains as much art in medicine as there is science, and I think that is something that we need to keep in mind. And it's mentioned that if it were not for the great variability among individuals, medicine might as well be a science, not an art. And this is something which is echoed even in a recent paper today, published a few years ago in the journal that we read a lot, the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine by Martin Tobin, who's an authority on critical care, on generalization and singularity. And he says focusing on a single individual as opposed to gazing upon a large number of persons produces a radical change in perspective. Two human beings are never precisely alike, even twins originating from the same ovum. Similarly, disease states are never identical, even if they're caused by the same agent. We saw that in COVID. You had people who got COVID were asymptomatic. Some had mild illness. Some had very severe pneumonia. Some had other involvement, cardiac involvement. So it's important to understand that there is an interaction between the host, the environment, and the pathogen. And a patient considers his complaints as one of the great peculiarities and craves for personal attention. That is where the art of medicine comes in. And therefore, physicians need to alternate between scientific principles and individualized care. You may have all the randomized controlled trials data with you, but that has nothing to do when it comes to treating an individual patient who has his own issues which you need to address and which are not addressed as far as the RCTs are concerned. And this involves the art of medicine. And therefore, I personally feel that in today's time, the art of medicine is probably more important and something that we need to look at as we progress as far as the science of medicine is concerned. So I'll just conclude by saying that the science of medicine has made remarkable progress over the last 60 years. Our practice will change significantly. I sometimes wonder how the doctors in the next 2 or 3 decades would be, because they would have such a lot of technology at their hands and things would be so different. One could not have imagined how things would be as far as, let's say telephones were concerned. When I was a resident, I had to go to the post office, book a trunk call, and then talk to my parents after 2 or 3 hours. I could never imagine that and then we had STDs which came in, and we were very happy that now you have an STD, you can do a straight trunk dial, and that's something that really makes life easier. I could never imagine that within the next few decades, we would be able to do FaceTime, we would be able to talk using WhatsApp and do video calls across the world in such a short span of time. This is how medicine will evolve over the next 2-3 decades. And I think we are going to have a really roller coaster ride as far as the science of medicine is concerned. But as the practice of medicine changes, the relevance of the art of medicine becomes more and more important. This is an art which cannot be learned in textbooks or lecture halls. For a patient's perspective, they need a doctor who understands their complaints, empathizes with them. You may have all the science behind you, but this is still very, very important, and this is the art of medicine. And therefore, what has been rightly said, a good physician treats the disease. A great physician treats the patient with the disease. I think that is something that we need to keep in mind, because that is what is the art of medicine. Thank you very much, and I think that's what I like to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Your insights have definitely opened up a new perspective for all of us. Revered Daaji, Global Guide Heartfulness, believes that there is a growing osmosis of science and spirituality all over the globe. In his pioneering research in well-being and his guidance to all individuals, he has brought together scientists, researchers, professionals, individuals from all over the globe, all walks of life. He inspires each and every human being to adopt a scientific approach to spirituality, integrating all levels of existence within oneself. I now invite Revered Daaji to deliver the keynote address and guide us through an experiential session.
Namaste everyone. My special thanks to Dr. Kotecha, Sri Jairamji and Dr. Guleria and Sadhviji who has come here specially for the occasion, and all participants my heartfelt pranams. All these three speakers have enlightened us in a magnificent way. But I had to share with you some of the ideas on Ayurveda. Allopathic I have studied. My father was Ayurvedic doctor, but he pushed me to study pharmacy, allopathic drugs. Part of it was also studying medicinal plants of India and many other countries under the topic called pharmacognosy. That was very interesting for me. There we learned something about herbs, medicines, and we were told when to harvest, what to harvest. For example, the drug called digoxin, used for the heart. When you harvest the digitalis purpurea plant in the morning for extracting digoxin, versus if you harvest the plant at noon versus the plant that you harvest in the evening, all three crops harvested will have different proportion of digoxin. Let me give one more example. Tulsi. Our parents say don't pluck tulsi leaves after sunset. It becomes toxic. Why does it become toxic? Isomerism. Today's science says the molecule which is there, it just isomerizes to its mirror image, and it has absolutely reverse effect on you. Third example I give you. आप लोगों ने मूली खाया है ना, white radish. They say don't eat it after the noon. My Guruji Maharaj, Babuji Maharaj used to say, सुबह चोरी करके भी मूली खाना है, खा लो. After the noon, if somebody gives it for free to eat, run away from it, because it creates gas problems. There are many such examples of what to do, when to do. Ayurveda largely misunderstood because of this fact. You don't know when this plant was plucked and harvested. I give you my recent example. I had a lot of shoulder pain. And my mother, she told my banja, my sister, go bring some akada in Gujarati, meaning calotropis in English. So he brought these leaves, she put it on a stove, put some oil, warmed it up and put it on my shoulder. I was greatly relieved from this pain. But then after a few days I developed back pain. So I thought, let me get some more calotropis. So I sent someone, Joy, jaake le aao. We have a lot of calotropis in this ashram. He brought it, it didn't work. Then many months later, I found out that there are male plants and there are female plants. Only female plants works, male plant doesn't work. So this is the tragedy and the beauty of Ayurveda. When to and how to. These are missing. A lot of research is needed to be done. Apart from all this, I'm so moved by Dr. Galeria's presence. Many of you may not be familiar. Empathy, he talked at length empathy. I think he has derived empathy genetically. His father was a great doctor, empathetic, extremely compassionate. And you'll see his father's name in our master's book, In His Footsteps, where he mentions the time he spent with Babuji Maharaj at AIIMS, Delhi, when he was not so well, towards the end of 1982 and beginning of 83. His father looked after Pujya Sri Babuji Maharaj, and what is mentioned there? So much of compassion was there. And he also stated the history of humanity in just a small gist, but very penetrating. Predator as man, stronger men survived. Body was the main thing. Later on came technological revolution. We started using gadgets. Farmers started using all kinds of gadgets run by bulls and horses. Carts were invented. Then time came, technology came, tractors and whatnot. It changed the face of the earth. Trains and planes, technology. Recently he says, all computers. Dr. Daaji, who was recently here, he was saying, Amazon once upon a time didn't own even one shop. Then there is a hotel chain. What's the name of it? Huh? Oyo. They don't own even a single room. Uber doesn't own even one car. When you can see the revolution, it's the brain. There are billions of dollars worth. How brain can create things. And as the trajectory goes, as per Dr. Galeria's, insights from the year 2000, heal, health, they are connected. The word healing and the health, they are connected. Healing not just the body, healing emotions that scars our hearts is more important. You can remove the scars from your skin, but the scars in the heart are very difficult to remove. We all know in Sahaj because cleaning and healing of our sanskars, of our conditioning, is very difficult. How to remove this misunderstanding? What is the root behind the misunderstanding the others, or understanding the others correctly precedes with right thinking? And what precedes before right thinking is your right attitude. Do you really want to understand the other person? Listen carefully. That's where the heart comes into picture. The next revolution is all about whoever uses the heart will survive. Rest will go. That is the nature's dictum. Nature works in a very different way. The subtlest, the finest survives. The strongest at a physical level, and at that level, there is no way you will be able to survive in the future if you don't use the heart. And what is the role of heart? Even science says today, if you like to understand, there are few great books on heart. One is Heart's Code, and another is Heart Math Solution by Dr. I forget her name. And your name is not important, Heart Math Solution. These two books you read, you'll be amazed by the role of the heart. We say, when you are having a problem at emotional level because somebody misunderstood you, you'll remember that all your life. But if you let go from the heart, if you forgive that person, you have no problem. So we have to learn this art, as Dr. Guleria mentioned time and again. Use the heart, be empathetic, more forgiving. Then the evolution of consciousness will happen. Sri Jairamji and Dr. Kotecha, they emphasized also on evolution of consciousness. Let's take one for an example of sleep. Sleep is also a type of consciousness. Delta wave are measured that way. If you don't have yama and niyama, yama is all about how to destroy unnecessary things from our life. Ahimsa, for example, or hinsa. Speaking lies, taking advantage of others, aparigraha. Constantly doing such things, having such habits of breaking yamas and niyamas, you are destroying the inner hygiene. Would you go to a restaurant where there are lots of flies and mosquitoes, where the kitchens are not so hygienic? Person serving you is also putting his fingers in the water bottle and give it to you, please drink it. You won't like this, unhygienic external conditions. You will avoid such places. Inner hygiene is hijacked by our weaknesses, trying to take away something from someone, be it money or somebody's woman or man. It's also part of the yama and niyama, developing santosha, contentment. It's also to maintain our inner hygiene. Lacking this inner hygiene, you will not be able to sleep. Lacking this inner hygiene, you cannot enter the state of samadhi. Lacking this inner hygiene, you cannot have viveka buddhi or discriminating faculty. And if you don't have discriminating faculty, you cannot differentiate what is wrong, what is right, what is cause, what is effect, what is good for me, what is bad for me. All these things you will not be able to discriminate without this inner hygiene. How to make my heart and my mind conscientious heart and mind. It's only through meditation. You close your eyes and reflect. Start with reflection. Meditating on godly entity is too far for a lot of people. But begin with this. Try to center yourself. Sanskrit has a beautiful word, swasthya, which we are talking about, health. It's not mere health. Swasthya, one who is settled within oneself. So sthayite apne swa mein, in the higher self, in the soul, in the center of one's being. Such individuals, despite of headache, despite of fever, they remain sthayi in their self, settled within themselves. They are not irritated, dejected just because they have some inconvenience of fever and headache. They are settled within. You can have tornadoes, hurricanes all around you, but you remain in the center, you're safe. Our attention on periphery, too much attention on body. We're talking of bodily health, but you pay too much attention to your bodily health, you're sure to become sick. Obsession with your health, you get too much carried away and you are somehow attracting what you don't like. People obsessed with their health problems in life, you will always find this. They are attracting diseases. Earlier, AIMS research on sattvic, rajasic and tamasic tamogunas. I would like to go through the research paper because these trigunas are fascinating subjects. Just as you have these three, proton, electron, and neutron, and how it constitutes the entire universe. Same thing, this Sat, Rajas and Tamas, it's a spectrum in which the consciousness plays out. If you are on one side, then the consciousness will be filtered accordingly. Tamas. Person with tamas is always agitated, irritable, angry. Person with rajas, his consciousness always gravitates towards what is pleasant and loves to relax. But all these have a purpose. Tamas can get activated at night. If it doesn't get activated, you will never sleep. So there has to be some balance of it at the time required. If you try to say, I'm so tired and I'd like to rest, and you want to somehow say, let me develop sattvic gunas at the moment, this is not something that you order. It is either you, who you are, or who you are not. How can I instantly mutate from sattvic state to tamasic or tamasic to it's very challenging, and that's why yoga comes into picture, where one can have the mastery of switching gears. And this is nothing to do with yama niyama, switching gears. It has nothing to do with asanas. It has nothing to do with pranayama. But switching gears is all about shifting from one level of consciousness to another level of consciousness. And that can happen only when you have a total control over your heart and the mind. And heartfulness is going something beyond the mind. As long as one remains within the realms of mind, you are bogged down by knowledge and logic. Knowledge is good, but it's not enough. Knowledge of God, for example. God is there. This is knowledge, superficial knowledge. Who told you so? My mother told me so. My father told me so. My shastras speak about that. Oh, God is there. But when you do experience through spirituality, then it's a different matter altogether. I experience. But having experienced God once in a while, is it enough? It's like you went to a very rich friend and you enjoyed hospitality for 3 months. You had the experience of what richness can offer. But it will be worthwhile if I can become rich myself. So we move from knowledge to higher level of experiencing, and then to becoming. But becoming is also a problem according to Yoga Shastras. Then we venture into state of being. This being also too much of a burden. You move into a state of non-being. Well, this is the journey of total health. Even a bliss can become a burden. We are talking of easing ourselves from disease. Maybe you might become blissful, joyful, laughing. That itself is also a kind of a disease according to yoga. Must transcend all this. People have misunderstood two words, dhyana and meditation. Meditation, according to Oxford Dictionary, is to focus your mind on one object. God is not an object. Dhyana is all about God. You have to transcend your mind. Let mind be left behind. Though mind has a very special role to play. Mind is not our enemy. It can be our best friend. But having the burden of bliss, you can't carry it. In our shastras, we often talk of Sahasradal Kamal, the ultimate, which is, if you have these 2 ears, pull it up and then join the lines, it is in the middle here. Location, knowing the location is not going to help you. One has to experience. And that is not the ultimate, because that's where one feels ultimate anandam, sat, chit, anand. When the chit becomes sat, truthful, true anand begins. But then this anandam, as I was telling you, becomes too heavy for the system, for the spiritual system. Dhyana, again, when you understand, is going beyond not only the mind, but also the bliss. You are actually renunciating bliss. It's easy to renunciate what you don't like. Renunciating the stations of Sahasradal Kamal and going beyond is a different matter altogether. Heartfulness offers such a journey from the heart chakra to Atma chakra to Agni, Jal, Vayu. Then you go beyond Agya chakra, and many chakras are there beyond all this. And in an experiential way, something that you can experience. How would you measure the consciousness of a person who is in a Turiya state? Right? Turiya state is something like when you are in the sleep but fully aware. Scientific measures are there, EEG, and when you see the delta wave, you can conclude is in deep sleep state. But how would you know that this person is aware? You'll have to ask question to that person. And then, when we talk of the fifth level of consciousness, we talk Turiya Tit, where such a state of deep sleep state with awareness remains even with open eyes. Turiya is a state where you attain delta state with closed eyes. Deep sleep, you have to close your eyes anyway, and you're not aware of it at all. Science, I hope, I wish, I pray that one day it will be able to see these frontiers also instrumentally. Deep in my heart, I do feel that it cannot be measured, but let's see how science turns out to be. It will be wonderful if, instead of measuring through the machines, one measures through oneself. Such possibilities. These are individualistic. When medicine is such, whether it is Ayurveda or allopathy or other fields of medicines, it works on a large scale. You give a pill for headache, it should work on most human beings. But when you give a method in yoga, you meditate this way, depending upon that individual's mindset, is this Rajoguna or Tamoguna or Sattoguna, there it plays such a havoc. It changes from person to person. When I transmit and we all meditate together, you can never have an experience akin to the other person. Everyone will have a very unique experience, but it will never be the same. And to the same person, the same transmission will not work in a way that it will match the previous or the future experiences. Each moment is unique. It plays out a very specific role with our consciousness. Anyway, this session will end by 10:30 or 10:40. So if we can meditate for some time, sir. Otherwise it will be very long. It will be a short meditation. Namaskaram. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to please turn off your mobile phones during meditation. This is a humble request to please switch off your phones.
Very dear participants, over the next 3 days, we will be introduced to the practices of heartfulness. This morning, we shall focus on heartfulness relaxation and meditation. Heartfulness relaxation is essentially a preparatory practice for meditation. We will issue some simple instructions for you to relax every part of your physical system so that we may transcend the body and plunge into heartfulness meditation. This relaxation will last for about 5 minutes. After that, we will move into meditation. When we say please start meditation, please make a gentle suggestion that there is a source of light or divine light in the heart already present, drawing your attention inwards. Then we request you to gently rest your attention in the heart without any strain. If thoughts arise, please note that these thoughts are not coming, but they are leaving. So gently ignore them and bring your attention back to the heart. At the end of the meditation, we'll say that's all. You may keep your eyes closed for a minute or so, observe your condition, and after that, open your eyes. So we will start with the relaxation. Please gently close your eyes and make your breath normal. Let's begin with the toes. Wriggle your toes and feel them relaxed. Your toes are now completely relaxed. Relax your feet. Feel a healing energy rising up from Mother Earth, relaxing your feet, your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, and your upper legs. Your entire legs are now completely relaxed. Please relax your hips and your abdomen. Your hips and abdomen are now completely relaxed. Please turn your attention now to the back and feel the healing energy rising up your back, relaxing your entire back. Your back is now completely relaxed. Relax your chest. And gently turn your attention to your shoulders. Feel them melting away. Feel the healing energy, relaxing your upper arms, your elbows, and your lower arms, right through to the fingertips. Your entire arms are now completely relaxed. Relax your neck. Relax every muscle in your face, your cheeks, your earlobes, your forehead, and the top and back of your head. Please scan your entire system from top to toe and feel yourself completely relaxed. Now gently turn your attention to the heart. Rest your mind there. Please make a gentle suggestion that there is a source of light in the heart already present, drawing your attention inwards. Please ignore any thoughts that may arise. Totally relax. Please start meditation. That's all. Please keep your eyes closed and observe your condition. When you are ready, you may gently open your eyes.
We thank Revered Daaji for this beautiful deep meditation. On behalf of Heartfulness Institute, I thank all our eminent dignitaries, distinguished guests, delegates and participants for your esteemed presence in the inaugural session of IHW 2022. We will now break for 5 minutes for tea and refreshments, following which we have two very interesting sessions by eminent speakers from across the world. So once again, we hope to see you back after a break of 5 minutes. Thank you once again for your esteemed presence in the inaugural session. So we reassemble here at 10:45 for our next session on the science of heart